Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Corinne here. Hope you're having a great day. This is the type of card we're going to create today. In fact, this is the one that I just created filming, and then it turns out I didn't have the camera, my phone view on, the one where you could see everything that I was doing. Instead, you were mostly looking at my head and my bald spot. So I'm going to re-record, and hopefully this one will go better. But basically what I'm doing today is we are creating a beautiful card, a beautiful scene using a already created background. So the one that I did this one with had kind of a rainbow, so you can see some pinks, yellows, blues, greens, purples, things like that. That was the previous one. Okay. The background of the paper that I'm using is from this pad by Momenta, and I'm pretty sure I got it from Michael's, and it has a bunch of looks like watercolors in it. So there's 3 of each kind of color and design, etc. Like so. And so that's what I'm going to be using today. This time I'm going to be using a pink background, so you can see it looks a bit like a watercolor. You'd get these kind of effects if you were using a gel press or something like that. Pigment powders as well will give you this. This, for example, is a one that I did as a background using pigment powders. So you kind of sprinkle them on and then soak up your paper or saturate your paper with water, and poof, you have a background. Easy peasy. Okay, so today that's what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a background using paper that has already been well, I was going to say painted, but it's not painted. But so you've already got your background colors. It's all ready to go. Now I'm going to stamp and create an add onto this. So creating depth, dimension, things like that. The last Lavinia video that I did was how to create a background and then doing some simple stamping on top of that. We're going to step that up a bit. So instead of having to start from scratch, we're going to start with the background and we're going to build on that. Okay. So in the last video, I did the background first. My background's already created. So today, what I want to do is I'm going to stamp my fairies first. Okay, and I'm going to use this piece of paper, and I'll get a clean one when we're done, but there's no point in wasting because I'm going to be using the same kind of green color. Okay, so the fairy that I've chosen for today is this one here. This is Josie. She's a Lavinia stamp. What's really great is when you utilize something like this, and just got rid of my baby wipe again. Ouch. So whenever you're using stamps like these, you want to make sure that you are keeping your acetate because you can continue to move it around, see where you like it without having to use your stamp, which you may have ink or something like that on it, which if you're moving it around, you might transfer ink then onto your card. Not the end of the world. There are ways to fix it, especially if it's just a shadow kind of thing, but who wants to have to start that way, right? So I'm going to use this particular one, and because she's kind of blowing in this direction, I want to make sure that I'm going to have her just slightly off center. I don't want to have it in the center. I want to have her slightly off center so that there's room for her wings here, but also, you know, we can kind of create more of a scene going this way. Okay, so I'm going to add her to my stamp, and I'm just going to be using a block. I don't need to use a stamp platform for this one. But that's because I'm going to be using a really good ink, and I've got a pile of paper here. So this is just, this is 12 by 12 white paper that comes from, you know, when you get a 12 by 12 scrapbook album, and inside the sleeves, they put these papers and stuff like that. Well, I take them out and I used to throw them away, but now I use them for this because it creates these really great areas where I can do my first generation, so I can get a second generation or third generation stamping. You know, I can mask off if I need to, and I don't have to worry about pulling out extra supplies and things like that. I can tear this and create a mask to create hills and valleys, all of those kind of things. But for now, I'm just going to use this, so it's giving me, and it gives my stamp a little bit of something to bite into, which is what you need. Okay, so anytime, this is my favorite ink to use. This is VersaFine Clair, and it is the best ink to use for any kind of silhouette. It clings to your stamp. It has glycerin in it. It is not a water-based, it's permanent. So I could watercolor over the top of this if I wanted to. That's not what I will be doing, but it allows me to continue to create my base and or add in anything else that I'm feeling like I need to have on there. Okay, so because I'm not using a stamp platform, I want to make sure that I've got a really good ink coverage. So you can see here how shiny my stamp is. That means I've got good ink coverage on there. Okay. This is a pigment ink, so I want to make sure I'm going to put this down and I'm going to hold it there. Pigment ink sits on the top of your cardstock. It does not absorb into your paper. Dye-based inks will go all the way through. They absorb. Your paper will draw that ink down into it because they're water-based, right? Pigment inks usually have an oil or a glycerin or something like that that has it almost creates like a coating on the paper. So pigment inks just sit on the top. They do not absorb down into your paper. So you want to give this time for, even though we're not moving it, there is still a friction. So the friction from between your stamp and your paper, for it to transfer from your stamp to your paper, it takes time to do that. So we have this really solid image. So we want to make sure that we're giving it the time that it needs to absorb. A mess over here off the side. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to pick that up, and we've got a really good transfer. So I'm quite happy with that. That will work for me. Okay, I'm just going to give my stamp here a little wipe with my baby wipe. Pick that up and put it back and to my little acetate. Okay. So the other thing that while I've got my black ink out, because these will be the last ones, well, I might do a couple other things in black, but while I've got my black ink out, I'm just going to tap off, and I've got these, this stamp set comes with a tiny little seed head from a dandelion. And so I want to, you can see here she's blowing, so she's blown off a couple of the seed heads. So I'm going to continue and just have those kind of blowing along in the wind. That. And then this one, and it's going to be just slightly off the paper, just like that. Okay. Step it off and clean that off, and we'll close that. And then put this away as well. I don't know that it's a teeny tiny little stamp, so we want to make sure we're not losing. Okay, so that is the start. This is, I've now got my my little fairy. I've got my the little seed heads and everything like that. Now, because this is a pigment ink, before I start doing anything, I don't want to smudge it. So I'm just going to take it in, put it on a thin piece of paper, and just give it a bit of a blot. Okay, now what I want to do, and because I'm going to be getting ink all over here, now what I'm going to do is take a piece of paper. This is just some, I was going to say cheap cardstock. It actually wasn't very cheap. It was quite pricey, but it's really thin. You could do this with copy paper. I could do that with the same paper here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tear it. And while I'm tearing it, I want to create some hills and valleys, just to create some interest right now. You see, I'd used it on the previous project that I was doing. You can actually just use a mask as well. Lavinia sells great hills and valley masks or grounding masks. But for this one, I just going to use paper because everybody has access to paper. So I'm going to take my fairy here, and you can see here, so I've got 2 feet and then the base of this dandelion. And I want to make sure, because she is clearly on the ground, right? So there are a lot of fairies available that are flying or in the air. You don't have to have them on the ground. You don't have to show anything grounded around them. So for example, much like this one, see, she's in the air. I don't have to have anything below her. I could just have just this image and not have anything else. I don't have to have these trees. For example, she could just be just her in the air and call it good. But this one, she's clearly walking on the ground, so, or standing on the ground. So we need to make sure that we're going to put some ground underneath her. Okay. So what I want to do is, you can see here, I'm going to kind of line this up. And so I've got both feet and the edge of the dandelion. That's what I'm looking for. So I can move that down a little bit, and I can change the orientation. I'm going to create a bit of a hill here. So you can see I've angled my paper a little bit. And now I'm going to take, this is Shady Lane. This is also a VersaFine Clair. Again, it's a pigment-based ink. And I'm going to hold this. Oh, I've lost 3. Okay, there's her foot, and the dandelion. So I'm going to tilt that. Okay, and I've got just my little makeup sponge here, or a blender sponge, whatever you want to call it. This is actually a makeup sponge from Dollar Tree, so I paid $1.50 for this, because here in Canada it's $1.50 now. And I'm gonna ink up. Sorry, I don't think you can see that. That's off the page now. Ink up, and I'm just gonna test out how much have I got on there. And I'm basically gonna go along, and I'm gonna start on my mask, and I'm gonna drag it onto my paper. Okay, so I'm starting on the mask, so that I don't get a super heavy concentration of ink in one place. And I'm just going to keep dragging this. Dragging, dragging, dragging. And I'm going to re-ink up because I do want a nice, fine, crisp line there. And I'm going to drag this down. And the way this pink is going to be a little more green. And I do really like where her feet are to make sure that that's darker. So you can see over here on this far side, I've gotten a little bit darker, and then it lightens up a little bit and then darker. Now, I can keep my fingers here and I can lift this, see if I'm happy with that. That looks pretty darn good. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'll turn this so you guys can see it. So you can see here, okay, she's been grounded. She's got a nice little area there where she's standing on the ground. Now, if I wanted, I can go back in and I can do something like this. Let's say I wanted to add a little bit of a hill or a valley. Okay, well, let's just go back in and let's do that. Want some depth, some dimension, make it look like maybe she's in the mountains or something like that. So I'm going to switch. So I don't need to get a new piece of paper. This still has all these hills and valleys and all the nooks and crannies. I could tear it again if I wanted to, but there's no point wasting them. I can just shift it and it gives me a whole new perspective. So for example, so I did already kind of dip my brush, but or my blending sponge. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm even going to add just a little bit of a fill back here. Come along. So in the edge, right here at the top of where my mask is where I want to put the heaviest amount of color, and I'm going to draw that down. I'm going to lift that. There we go. Yeah, she's in the mountains. Or it looks like she's got, so there's some other depths and dimensions to the landscape there, basically. So it doesn't necessarily look like she's in the mountains, but we do have some mountains or something like that there. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to put that aside for now. Now, because she's working with dandelions, I want to pull in some more dandelions. I don't want them to look like that's all that she's got there. I actually want to think of her as she's a farmer for dandelions. So she's taking care of the crop. And now she's passing wishes off into the world or something like that. It's kind of fun to just make up your own little stories as you're here playing around and things like that. So I've got 2 different dandelion stamps. So this fairy here is called Josie. This dandelion, for the life of me, can't remember what it's called. This is called the tall dandelion. And this one, this set is called the open dandelion. So you can see it's got quite the open flower here. And then there's a seed head. And then this one is the one that has already bloomed, and you then create your wishes from that, right? So I like how, so if I were to pull this off, so I'm going to pull the stamps off so that I can play with the acetate without getting ink all over my project. So these aren't too, well, it's not too long. I could do a really nice tall, even a low one, and then do the seed head up there. That could really work. Yeah. Because I like how delicate this particular one is, but I like their rootedness because I can actually color these in and add other colors and elements to my creation here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this, and I actually want to use for this, for the base color of my stamping, I'm going to use the shady line here. And so I'm going to ink up. So you can see I've inked up my stamp here, and I'm actually going to end up going off a little bit. Now, not so much. So because I like where this hits kind of like that. I don't want to have this whole stem. So I'm going to take a little bit of the ink off of there. You can see here, I'm not sure if it'll show in, you can see where it starts to go green right here. I want to measure that up to where my hill is. And I'm going to come in, stamp it down. Got that. Okay. So that works for me there. I'd like to do at least one more. So where can I do one more? Where will that work out? Yeah, I kind of want it higher, taller. Oops. Let's not throw your ink around. Throw your pad around, clean that off. All right. Okay, so I like it coming up. But, yep, so that means I need to take a little bit off of the stem again. So just wiping the stem off a little bit. This just helps so that I don't have to do a ton of inking or anything like that in that area. Ooh. Not really have to make it in a beeswax. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do this. So as I said, this is VersaFine Clair, so it's a pigment ink, so it's slow drying. So even though it was taking me quite a bit of time to decide where the heck I was going to put my stamp, I still had time to get it down while my ink was still wet. Okay, now seed head, going to use in the same color, and this. And I think a seed head would be really nice at the base of this here, because it's black there. I think that's where one would grow. Yeah. Okay, that one back. Now, mostly I'm just talking to myself, but also so you're not listening to a ton of dead air here. Now I'm going to pull out my rainforest. So this is the darker green color. And I'm going to pull out the bud here, the beautiful little, what do we call this? The tall dandelion? Tall dandelion? Yeah, that's what it's called. And I think one coming up like that would be really nice. We get a nice high edge. Might be able to do one in there because I have a plan for over on this edge here. So I don't want to do too much over there. Like, yeah. So and see how that carries off there. That's another reason why I really like to just use paper. It makes it so much easier to line these things up. I don't have to worry about something catching or anything like that. Just have that nice and easy. Okay, a couple of seed heads there. And let's catch the edge right there. Okay, so I like that. Now, where else? Yeah, it could really work right there. Two, take some of that off. We're going to go one. Okay. So we've got a few of the delicate, the tall dandelions here. Now I can pull in some of the greenery for the base. Oops. So we've got this nice long one here, which kind of goes like that. Like that. Yeah, right there. I'm gonna set this at the base of the dandelion. So pull that off and use the smaller one now. Yeah, these here. No, it's going to have to be second generation here. And the reason why I did second generation is because I was getting really close to her wing, and I want the fairy to be closer to me. So by doing a second generation, it pushes the leaf a little further back so we can work within that. I'm going to add another leaf here, but I want to do that in the shade lane instead of this color here. Instead of the rainforest, I want to change out the color. Changing out the colors in your inks, so either using first and second and third generation stamping, or changing the colors of your inks when you're using them, allows you to change the depth and dimension of where your stamping is. So it gives you the illusion of things being closer, further away, things like that. So that helps out there a little bit. Okay. Clean off that stamp, and then it can go back. Right, and I'm going to clean this one before I go and stick them away. I don't know about you, but I would never remember to go back to clean my stamps. So that would be fairly typical of myself. Okay, so I have these really cool pods. Now, for the life of me, can't remember what they're called. Just a minute. These ones are forest lanterns. So I have these ones, and these ones are called the dangly pods. So they go this way, but how cool are they when they do like this? These look really cool. So that is a possibility. I could also do one right here, one kind of coming up, and it gives you that illusion that that's there, and then another one could have closer to the ground. Then there. Should I look? Right. These are brand new stamps. I haven't used them yet, so I'm okay sticking them kind of like this. If I do that, you can have one coming out. Let's close that before I go and stick everything inside there. You know what? I'm gonna play with these. Well, it's it's only paper and it's just a card. It's not the end of the world if I decide I don't like it, but I want to try and play with these because that's the only way that you get remarkable, not remarkable, any kind of skill or anything like that. That's the only way that you're going to get it is if you play with these things and try them out, see how you like them. Oftentimes, using the smaller ones is a great way to start. You'll find that you'll be able to add more, have more room for them and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can make that work. So I'm going to do this one in the nocturne, so in the black. And I'm going to do the full stem of it just off to the edge here. So I want to get it right down from the bottom, and I want to catch as much of the top part of it as I can without covering too much of the dandelion. Oh, so cool. Yeah, yeah, I like that. That's cool. All right, now the little guy. So I'm not going to put this back on the acetate because I want to see where I can get the little guy here. Okay, so the little one, I could fit there and have it seem like it's coming out of the ground a little bit. I also want to bring one over here. So if I were to do here, I could do like that, and then a nice small one here at the front almost. Yeah, I like that. That's kind of different. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to fit like the rules of nature, for example, all the time, because it is the fairy realm. So their own sense of nature is their own thing, isn't it? And then, so, and it looks like it's standing out quite a bit, and it is a little, but um, I'll be able to fix that with the rest of my details and things like that, because I'm not at that point yet. Oh, and look, I got a little bit of black there, so definitely gonna have to make sure that I cover that up. So if I do this, it looks like we're looking from behind the lantern. Ooh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that gives me the 3, so it, you know, pleases the brain in terms of what looks good or what works for our brains. It might not look good, but it's gonna be what works for the brain. Okay, so I'm gonna put those back. I was thinking I was gonna put a sentiment on this one, but I have put my guys in there. So every dream begins with a wish. That might have to go on the inside. Okay, so I'm happy now with the background as it is. I don't need to add any more. It's already pretty busy as it is. I do like to me, nature is quite busy, so I don't mind it being busy. If you go to a field of dandelions, you don't just see one dandelion. You see many, many dandelions, right? So now what I want to do is I want to bring my eye, I want to bring the focus in. So to do that, I'm going to be taking a couple of other colors. So I'm going to start with Green Oasis, I think, and I'm going to edge around my card or my card front. So I'm going to dip my sponge, my makeup sponge here, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to edge. So this is why I wasn't that concerned when I dropped my when I was stamping and I dropped the stamp pad stamp. I got ink on it. It's not the end of the world because I'm coming in and I knew I was going to be adding some ink in here, things like that. So I'm going to cover that up nicely, which is great. So, and even though I started, and I chose this pink background because pink's not my color. I don't do pink very well or very often. So I wanted to challenge myself, but with a different color. But even though my background is pink, I knew because I'm going to be edging it and stuff like that, it's not going to be showing a ton of pink. It doesn't matter what color you start with. I could use greens, I could use purples for edging this, I could use blues, I could use orange, whatever I feel like I need to use on here. It doesn't even have to coordinate with what I've already put on here. I just like greens because it's kind of a green card, right? So despite the fact that my background is pink. And I want to bring this color, I'm going to bring it along the bottom here. Also forgot to do this earlier, but I just wanted to soften the edges of where I put the grounding. I'm just gonna take a little bit of ink and just kind of just draw it a little bit along there. It just softens that edge, makes it look a little bit more like grass. Okay. Or ground anyway, it's not necessarily grass, but whatever. Okay, so that is the green oasis. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take the rainforest, which is my darker green. This is kind of a bluish green, as you can see here. And I'm going to go in on the edges. I want to make the edge, the four corners, really dark. Okay, so I brought the lighter green, it's in, okay, and now I'm going to come along the edges here, okay, and catch these four corners and make them really nice and deep. And I will also draw it along, just catching the edge, not going in. I just want to catch the edge of my paper. I want to frame this basically. Okay. On the edge here. Okay. And fourth corner here. Bring this down. This. Edge there. Go. Okay. Nice. All right, I'm happy with that. That looks great. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm going to bring this up now so you can see where we have highlighted, where we brought that in. So you can still see the ground. You can see the two different tones of green here. So I've got the lighter green and then I've got the darker green to help frame it and bring everything back into focus here. Now what I want to do is start adding details to my flowers, to my fairy. I want to make everything kind of pop out of the background. Okay. The first way that I'm going to do that is by using my white jelly roll. Okay. Oops. Okay. So our fairy is in silhouette. Okay, so that means then that if you were imagining and looking at somebody who's in silhouette, that means that there's a light source of some sort behind them. I don't have a moon on here, I don't have a sun, but it's daylight. So there is a light source behind her. She's blocking what we would be seeing. So that means then that all around her would have some light. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to add in a few little details. Let's see if this is the right pen. I don't know why I always I have one that works really well and one that does not. And for some reason, when I'm done with them, I don't take the time to figure out which is the one that works really well, which one does not. And then I add it back in because I've got two or three of them. And so then when I pull it out, I'm never sure which is the one that will work really well. So I'm just going to kind of highlight the areas where the sun would be hitting her or would be showing from behind her, right? Okay. If you feel like this is too much white, okay, dip your finger in, you'll pick up a little bit because the jelly roll will stay like it's a gel-based ink, right? So it'll stay wet for quite some time. So if that feels like it's too much for you, go ahead and just dip your finger and then you just get more of a, I was going to say shadow. Shadow is not the right one, but you get more, just more of the highlight, okay? And I'm going to come along the edge here. And I like to highlight their hair. I like the wing because the wings would be transparent, but the sun or whatever your light source is would be, even on a cloudy day, would still be catching the edges of these. And this particular fairy has these really cool gossamer edges or tendrils that hang off of her wings. So I'll make sure that I'm catching those as well. Okay. On the edge of the wing here, and I'm going to catch her back and the tuchus. And I'm going to edge that all the way down, following her calf, all the way down. And then there's this seam in between her legs, like with her thighs. When they drew the stamp, that shows you that's where the light source would be. So you can start to see here, okay, on the left side, this is the side that I have highlighted already. So you can see the areas where there's the white. It's not super defined, but somehow this side, her left side with the wings and her butt, look more defined or more rounded compared to the right side because I haven't done that side yet. And let's do under the arm here. There's a nice little highlighted area there. So let's do under the arm there. Push around the breast and her little tummy. I love that when they drew these stamps, they gave the fairies little tummies. Because I don't know about you, but I've got a big tummy, but this does make it nice. I'm just gonna flatten out that line a little bit. Okay. So now our fairy is not quite so two-dimensional. She looks like she's got a little bit of depth. And not, I mean, it's still a flat piece of paper, so it's still going to be two-dimensional. But what we're trying to do is find ways to trick our eye into believing that there is more depth here than there really is. And the way that we do that, see, anything that's dark, really dark, is going to come at you, right? Anything that's light is going to be faded away. So that's how we can create a rounded shape. So as I go around my dandelion here, the black is coming at you. The white, because it's highlighted, is going to go away from you. So it makes it look like it's got shape. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to add shape and as much detail as we can. And I'm going to change this out too because I'm going to add some glitter and a few things there. Now, in our lanterns, okay, this is a fairly solid area here. So this would block our light like that. So we want to make sure that we kind of follow like that. And this one I'm going to pick up just a little bit. So you see how I still added white. You can't see that, that's a little far away. Okay, so I added white, but then by putting my finger on it, I dabbed away a lot of the excess. So it's still lighter there on the top of the lantern, but not bright, bright, bright white. And I think that's going to be it for the white for now. All right. Now I'm going to take this is my other Jelly Roll pen. This is a Sakura Stardust, and it's their clear one. These are really hard to come by. I found them, where did I get that? I think I ordered this one off of Amazon and it came in a 2-pack. But you can also get, they have what they call Stardust. I think it's Stardust. Don't quote me on that. No, Stardust, yeah. And there's a set of them and they come in like opaque colors. So there's like a green and a pink and a blue and a red and an orange. And so they have a tint to them with the glitter in them. This is the one that I love the best for using for wings because it's clear. So you still get the glitter, you get the gleam, the shine, and everything like that, but it's still translucent so that you can color the wings. The wings end up, to me, looking like more like a dragonfly wing, right? Where it's clear, looks like a piece of cellophane. So you still want to be able to see the colors or whatever it is that you've added behind it. With this particular one, because I've used pigment inks on it, I could actually use my, where is it here? I could use Wink of Stella or a Nouveau Shimmer pen or something like that. I could use that instead. If you've used dye-based inks as your base, if you were to use something like that, it would make your, because those are water reactive, right? It would make your inks on the background kind of run a little bit. Sometimes that's a really cool look. So it's not a bad thing, just to be aware that it will not give you that. You'll still be able to see through it and everything like that, but you might end up moving your inks and everything like that a little bit. So that's something to keep in mind. Not the worst thing. Okay, so you can see here we've added a little bit of shimmer. And I'm going to continue doing that. I like to add a little bit of shimmer to the dandelions because, you know, dandelion puffs, the little, these little guys, when they're in the wind, if they catch the light, they're really quite lovely. that way. So I'm going to attach this one here. Because I have something else too that I'm going to add. This one. Okay. So I think I'm happy with that for now. Yeah, I'm happy with that with this glitter pen. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to add some color to my dandelions because you can see where there are these open spaces. So that allows us to actually add some color. And I also want to add some more shading and things like that. So to do that, I'm going to pull out my Derwent Inktense pencils. And I am going to pull out a yellow. And I'm going to pull out a light kind of green, I think. Yep. A white and a black. Okay. So let's put that to the side so I don't dump them. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to add some more shadows. Okay, so we have grounded her and it looks like she's standing on the ground, but if she had a light source behind her, she's going to throw a shadow coming this way. So what does that look like? Well, I'm going to come in with, this is, it's kind of like well, it's a pencil crayon, but this one is a more of a pastel type thing. So I'm going to take my pencil crayon. This is a black or a deep charcoal brown or something like that. I'm going to take that and I'm going to go underneath her feet where she is, also where my dandelion is. And I'm going to draw that out because we would have shadow. And then because it's kind of a pastel, I want to make sure that I'm smudging that. Okay. And I'm carrying it across about as far as I think she would throw a shadow. Look at that. Now it looks like there's something real there. And I'm going to do the same because we've got these dandelions coming here, right? So they're still grounded here. So they would also be throwing a shadow. It doesn't matter where they're grounded. So they're on this little hill or whatever. That doesn't matter. It would still throw a bit of a shadow for us. Not as big as the fairy, obviously, but still a bit of a shadow. Look at that. And we can do the same kind of at the bottom here. So, not that it's going to have a ton because it's pretty tall and the area where it's doing it is pretty high up for these little lantern things, but it does give us that extra little bit of grounding to say, hey, there's a real object here. Now, for my dandelions. Okay, so with the open puff dandelions, those would be kind of a gray color. So I'm not going to worry about those. But the ones that I do want to color for sure are the seed head and then the large dandelion here. So I'm going to take my yellow and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to pull randomly, even over top of the other ink, just fine. I just want to add some shades here to give it the idea that this is supposed to be yellow. Or if you want to make it pink, or you want to make it green, or purple, or blue, or whatever color dandelions are in your world, that's what you can do. And I'm going to do the seed head as well. Make sure that that looks like it's got some color to it too. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm going to need a green. Dark green. And green there. And I'm going to color this a little bit of green down here. And I'm coloring the leaf and the open areas here a little bit. Not a lot. I just want that highlight in there. In here. And catch this little area under here. These leaves on the seed head would be green. All right, so that's good with that green. Let's finish the yellow over here. So I've got the seed head here. So already you can see, if we go from left to right, you can see the difference that it's making just by adding these few little details, just to start to bring your creation, your piece of art, because that's what we're creating here. We're creating our own piece of art. I don't know about you guys, but I can't draw worth a darn. So I really appreciate that, they create these beautiful stamps that that I can use. And, these artists create these beautiful stamps and then I can use them and create my own little works of art, which I really do appreciate. Because yeah, I couldn't draw myself out of a paper bag or whatever, out of a box or whatever that sentence is or that saying is. I can't. What I can do though is take supplies and materials to create something that I'm really proud of. Yeah. All right, so I've got that yellow, so I've got my two seed heads, I've got my two open dandelions. Now that leaves us with these areas on these lanterns that kind of need to be filled in. And I am going to take this little bit of yellow very, very lightly. I don't want to, not as heavy as I was doing on the dandelions, but I do want to color in the areas of the lantern part that would be glowing, right? I have something else that I'm going to be using, but I want to give it a nice base color of the yellow to start with. Okay. So now I'm going to use this lighter green. I think that's the color that I'm going to color these lanterns here. So let's color that, bring that in. Really like these stamps. They're brand new. I haven't had a chance to play with them yet. So, and if you don't know, this coming weekend, well, I don't know what date the date is, but March 2nd to 5th, Lavinia is ordering introducing a whole new set of stamps. They do that a couple times a year usually. So this one's going to have a whole live stream where they're going to be doing a bunch of demos and a lot of classes, live things and stuff like that. They're going to have, and it's all going to be like a steampunk line that they're introducing. So by all means, check it out. I highly recommend them. They have very good, top quality products. Everything that I've ordered from them, I've been very happy with. I use a lot of their products, obviously, and when I can, I try to get the real things, and I do recommend their products very, very much. And their design team are great, and the ideas that they give for using their products, they're very easy to follow along. So if you're looking for more ideas on using certain stamps, or yeah, if you're finding that you're falling in love with this, by all means, search them out on YouTube, on Google them, whatever. Check out their store or any of their design team. Okay, like that. There we go. Okay. So what do we think so far? Cool, right? Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to take my little white, which I have sharpened here a little bit, and I'm going to just add in a few more places where there's little bits of highlights, just again to reiterate or to just lighten that up a little bit and have her show a little bit more depth. Not a lot, just a little bit. If I wanted to, I could add lighten some spaces like this where then it looks like there's some clouds in the background, lightens it up, changes the tones of my paper just a little. Okay, so that's it with my. Now the final thing that I want to use, just to add that a little bit more, because more is more. Okay, these are mica minerals. Okay, this particular one is from Lavinia and it's called Crystal Gold. You can see how beautiful it's got this glitter to it, which is really gorgeous. And then these are perfect pearls. These are by Ranger. They've been out for years and years and years. And I want to add those to add a little bit of shine and shimmer to my product. So the first one that I'm going to start with is the crystal gold, and I'm going to do that in a few areas. And I'm going to use my quickie glue pen. All you need for this is you need any kind of glue that will dry tacky. So the Zig two-way pens, they go on, and then when they're dry, they dry tacky as well. So something that will dry tacky will work. So for this particular one, I'm going to come in here and in all of the areas where I've kind of added a little bit of my first shimmer pen, I also want to add, I'm going to be adding some more of the gold too. That. I want to add some of the gold in this area here. And streaks of gold. Here. And I'm going to do these in a couple of different stages so that I don't get the colors mixed up. So I'm going to start with, so I'm going to shake some into the lid and I'm going to tap it off. I'm going to start with these, and I like to start by taking it from the lid. So it's very, very fine. So I'm taking it onto like a makeup brush or a little eyeshadow brush. And I'm just going to take it and I'm going to buff it into the places where I put my adhesive, the glue. So you should have a lot more down there. Some in there. This is a product that will go a long way because you use very, very little of it, which is good. You don't want to be wasting your product and things like that. So I'm pretty sure that is everywhere that I want to be glittery gold. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on before I sneeze and have that everywhere. If you saw my last video, I was putting on glitter and managed to dump it, which was fun. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a shake because it's got a lot of glitter still in it. Now I'm going to use the Perfect Pearl. This is called Sunflower Sparkle. And as you can see, this one has more of just the gleam. It doesn't have the glitter texture to it. Oh, I haven't added my glue first. Okay, so for the glue on this one, I'm going to just do on my seed heads, do a couple of lines, but I also want to make sure that I'm getting a lot on the actual dandelion, the open one. Make sure I've got some on there. Like that. And more solid coating on my seed head. 2 seed heads, okay. So I'm kind of drawing just little lines here to kind of try and match up it's not really a petal because it's not fully open, but the yeah, I guess, well, we'll call it a petal for now because I can't think of another word for it. But now, so I'm just going to draw that on and bring, so basically what I'm trying to do is just highlighting all of these little areas that are yellow, I guess, would be for this particular one. And you can see, if I was doing a larger area, I might have to take from inside the pot, but there's more than enough in the lid to cover what I'm looking to cover. I'm just going to brush the rest of that off. Okay. And cover this up. When you're closing the Perfect Pearl lids, it's a really good idea to go counterclockwise until it flicks down and then screw. Nope, I missed it there. There we go. And then I'll do that. Okay, now I'm going to do the green, and the areas where I want to do the green is where I did some of the coloring of the green. I want to highlight, so I'm going to bring in a little bit here, like that, a bit there. there. And we'll put under there. And I think this one branch here would be really nice. And this one here. I don't know if you've ever seen me doing these, but you know, I am a firm believer that you can never have too much shine. And we'll do a couple of these strands that are kind of highlighted up this way. Like that. And then got this really cute little review here. The whole leaf. So nice stem. Coming down to the end here. I don't know if I told you, but I cut this panel in order to do a card that is 6.5 inches long by 5 inches. So this panel got cut to, look at this panel too. 6.25 by 4 3/4. And so once I'm done this part, I will pull it off and show you how put it on my card front and kind of just show you. So it has a nice little border. So now I'm just taking this blue-green color, which is Forever Green, and I'm just going on the areas where I had already highlighted or added my little quickie glue pen. And again, it's just going to add that little bit of sheen to my project. It's not a lot. There's not a lot of glitter. You know, which I'm sure if you know me, if you're one of my friends, that you know, you're all sitting there shocked and amazed that I'm not using glitter. But sometimes just a little bit of something is just enough. Okay. So what we're going to do here, draw that one. Let's do it. And okay, awesome. That's a little bit much there. Okay. So again, I'm going to close this till it catches, and then nope. Oops. There we go. You can feel it drop down. You know when you've got it right, and you know when you don't have it right. Okay, so I'm just gonna buff that off just a little bit. Okay. So now you can see. So you can see those gold puffs, little bits of green. There you go. And I'll give you a nice clean sheet of paper to see what this looks like there. This is our project for today. And this is my card. So it's 5 inches by 6.5. And this fits with just a beautiful little border, just like that. So I've cut my card front down to 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. So that is going to be our project for today. Hope you really enjoyed that. If you do have any questions or comments, please do please make sure you make a comment or something in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer any questions or comments. I do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't, please like my channel and subscribe. I highly recommend that you turn on the notifications because I don't tend to update on a regular basis. So it's a really good idea to have yourself notified so that when I do post a new one, you can see another one. Yeah. I hope to come back with another Lavinia one where we take it another step forward and add a few more elements and practice using these gorgeous, gorgeous stamps. Anyway, have a great day, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye for today.